tried to do this video a couple of times now, and all I want to do is cut to the chase and tell you what it's like to own a Chinese dirt bike. But there's so much I want to elaborate on, and I just don't want to go on and on and on forever. So I just want to say it plain and simple. But we'll talk about what it's like to own the higher end, more expensive Chinese dirt bikes. Pitster Pro, GPX Moto, SSR, and AGP, I believe. That's a bike assembled in Italy from Chinese parts, owned by a Chinese company, I think. Could be wrong, but it's still a Chinese bike. So, what is it like to own and ride one of these things? I've owned 2 years now, and I have to say I'm mostly satisfied. As a recreational, non-racing trail rider, enduro rider, I really can't complain. Mainly when I bought these bikes, I did not want to buy something that was expensive, because number one, I was learning and getting restarted into dirt biking after many decades off, and I knew I was going to trash the bike. So I didn't want something expensive, but I also didn't want something that was somebody else's junk pile, or as well as when I was looking, there was nothing but basically old motocross bikes available, which weren't going to serve my purpose at all. So I ended up buying a Pitster Pro XTR250. It cost me brand new, $2,400-ish, shipped to my house, and the bike was a little tank. I quickly got to outride it. Once my skills started getting built up, I outrode the suspension, and I outrode the engine, the power. It was kind of weak. And a lot of that had to do with also where I'm riding. I'm in Connecticut. We have tight, rocky, hilly terrain, and it's tough out there around here. There's very little smooth anything, and even what's open is kind of rutted out and well used. So it's tough riding. So I outrode that bike quickly. In a year, I upgraded to the GPX Moto FSE250R, which I have now, which most of these clips that you're seeing are what I'm riding. And it's a very much more capable machine. It cost me about $4,400 new delivered to my house. Now this bike wasn't so tankish. I had problems right off the bat with it. I had a blown rear shock, and I had a bad ECU. But once that was taken care of, which was promptly done and well serviced from the distributor, USA Motor Toys in Utah, the bike was a joy to ride, and it was a huge improvement over the first bike, and really helped me take my riding skills to the next level. And even at this point, I still have not reached the capabilities of the bike. I'm riding it in everything, and I'm riding it with the expensive higher end machines, KTMs, Huskies, Kawis, Yamahas, Betas, and we're all in there together. So far the bike is holding its own. I had some problems with it recently, as you saw in that first video, but who can count that to quality, right? I mean, misery. Anybody can have a connector come loose, especially for what these things have to go through in our trails and in our systems around here. They're hammered. I will say something about the bad regulator rectifier. At the factory, it was mounted in the wrong position. There's 2 mounting holes, and in the factory they mounted the top hole of the rec to the bottom peg. And the way it's set up in there, kind of one bolt did lock it in against the frame, but it also was probably a centimeter or so away from the mid pipe of the exhaust. So I think that failure was due to the mismounting. I thought initially maybe it was due to the shorting from the loose connector, but I believe that the factory mismounted it and fried it. I did put it back in the right position, the new one back in the right position, so obviously, and I checked everything else over. I can't find any other issues. And incidentally, I just took the bike apart, like took the headstock apart and all that to grease it and all that, and there was a ton of factory grease in there. You know, who's to say? You know, they mismount the regulator rectifier, but all the grease points are loaded. So who knows? You know, they are good, capable bikes. Personally, I wouldn't race one. I think, you know, at that level, you know, rider ability notwithstanding,
what do we have
the
here?
GPXs and the like are heavier machines with less power, so you lose that edge, and you're gonna have to just work that much harder to win and be competitive with them. So, you know, as a race bike, I don't know, but for a recreational enduro trail machine, oh my God, it's hard to beat. The thing has great suspension, very capable, very torquey engine that is really just perfectly tuned for low and mid range. It doesn't have much on the top, but again, around here it doesn't really need it. Nobody's racing. We're all just out having a good time. But, you know, like on the fire roads or something, if I open it up, it goes plenty fast. Even on the road, it goes plenty fast. If we're scooting, you know, down a main road to get to a next trailhead, it'll run at 50 miles an hour without, you know, without really breaking a sweat. So that's fine. The gearing is kind of low, but that's what I want for off-roading. All right. So for me, it's been a good thing. Very capable, and I'm going to continue to ride the bike at least through another season. Maybe with some upgrades to the suspension. I do have to get the front forks sprung for my weight, and then from there, we'll see. I think it's going to even take it up another level. I really don't have any complaints about the suspension right now. For stock, you know, no-name suspension is damn good. Hopefully it'll be a little better. The biggest problem I think with these machines is with like aftermarket parts. Now it seems that the OEM parts, replacement parts, are readily available. If I had any issue getting anything I needed, I get replacement parts from from USA Motor Toys. Of course, it does take a little bit of time because they're in Utah and I'm all the way at the other side of the country. But they're there, and in the aftermarket, it's kind of hit or miss. My bike is a clone of like a Husky TE250 in some ways, not exactly, but so a lot of the parts will come over. Wheel bearings, sprockets on the rear. The front sprocket, I believe, is from a DRZ 400. So that's what would fit on there. So you see, it's not always, it's always a little bit of a crapshoot when you're going for aftermarket parts. And this was something that was apparent on both bikes that I've had. I need a skid plate. I want to do an upgraded skid plate for the one that I have, for the current bike I have. And there's nothing available except for what's stock. Now the stock has lasted me a year of bashing it. I don't have any holes in my engine. But
a new piece of single track.
I would like something a little more substantial. I can't get it. So I'll have to get another stock skid plate until somebody makes something for these bikes, which will probably be never. Everything else, you know, you got to be willing to do a little wrenching, and you got to be do a little modifying if needed. And I will say that if you do own a Chinese bike, on that note, before we end all this, you probably should have some level of mechanical ability or be willing to learn. If you're the type of person that takes your bike to the dealer for every little thing, you're going to be hurting. You do need to be able to figure things out. You do need to have you know, a decent set of tools and space to work, and be ready to keep up on your maintenance as well. All right. Talk to you later. Hey, any questions about anything on Chinese dirt bikes, or like the meaning of life or anything like that, just hit me up in the comments. I'll be happy to answer. It's not a big channel, so I can usually answer everybody. Happy Thanksgiving, or whenever you're watching this.